Welcome to Beyond the Numbers on Money 105.5. Katie here, back from vacation.
Welcome back from Italy.
Thank you very much.
Yes, this is Mark Fellows, co-hosting with Katie, another Cliff and Larson Allen person. I'm a tax partner, principal. And we've got our guest today.
A ton of fun.
Want to introduce our guest?
We do. Daniel Ramsey, owner, founder, jack of many trades, MyOutDesk, virtual assistants.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome, Daniel.
I'm excited to be here.
Good, good. So yeah, we're going to be out of commission for a few days. So I'm like you, I'm trying to cram as much as I can in this week because...
Talk a little bit more with our guests. So
yes.
Today's May 31st, last day of May. So last day of Entrepreneur Month. Before we kick off next month, which is Small Business Month. So we have a resident entrepreneur among us who has done a whole history in your career in entrepreneur activities.
Slew of entrepreneurial activities.
Yes, I've started and stopped a lot of things. that might be code for entrepreneur.
Yeah. But MyOutDesk, you said, has been around for a number of years.
Yeah, so we're actually almost on our 10th year, which is killer. And as many entrepreneurs would tell you, it was an accident. Right? I mean, I wish I could say it was intentional, and I did this Disney-style plan, right?
Yes.
But I had a need, the market, there was an opportunity, and we were like, whoa, nobody's doing this.
So what was the opportunity? What was nobody doing you guys started doing?
You know, the story's crazy. I mean, Katie's heard it before, but I was, so I got married in 2009, beautiful wife. We're in South America, Central America, at a gorgeous resort, and you know, it's 2 a.m, and I've got a photo of me with a beer at the bar working. Right, as this is an entrepreneur's lifestyle, like, when you're starting a business or you're working in a business, you just weekends, evenings, whatever it takes, right?
Yep.
And after that, I thought, geez, something's got to change. And this was 2009. And
what were you doing? What was your job at that time?
Well, I was a real estate guy, selling a lot of real estate. In fact, ranked 24 out of like 9,000 in Sacramento. So I've sold a lot of homes in Sacramento. And, you know, people were buying homes, and I had no backup. I didn't get to enjoy Venice and Florence and Italy. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, you do it all yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
And this was 2009.
Yeah, this is 2009. 819. That's my anniversary date. It's very easy.
Very
8
easy.
plus 1. You know, I got back from that trip and changed my whole life. And I dove into MyOutDesk, mostly because I just couldn't take a vacation. So if any of your listeners are like listening and they connect with this idea, it's this concept of just, you know, not having the help you need to grow your business.
Yeah. For the record, I'll never be taking a vacation ever again.
We're
because
friends.
It's very hard to.
I bet that's going to change. Did you try to do any work while you're gone?
Oh, I worked almost every single night.
Did you really?
Absolutely.
How much? I mean, hour, couple hours, just catching up an email, or you do a lot of projects.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in the airport up until we walked onto the plane.
Okay.
And then I worked again, and then every night, you know, because of the time change, they're 9 hours ahead. I worked at night and tried to keep things moving forward, do client work. Yeah.
What's that like for you?
Terrible. I mean, it was very stressful because I felt the anxiety of coming back to, you know, hoping that things were going well, but knowing that you can't do everything when you're not in front of a computer. And yeah.
Well, there's this, and this is, since it's Entrepreneur Month, right? This is kind of a typical challenge that we have, is that you either work an hour or so every day that you're on vacation, or you let it all go, and when you come back, you're like 4 days straight.
Oh, it's a nightmare. It's an impossible mound. It's very stressful, very frustrating, and then you get upset clients potentially. So. And
in Katie's position, like, there's really no backup, right? There's nobody that can just kind of keep it moving, like she is it. And so, I mean, that was like the turning point for MyOutDesk. Really, was this concept of just time freedom, like this idea that, you know, the whole point of owning a business is to create like a lifestyle and not have to work a million years, you know.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's kind of the story. Had an epiphany on my honeymoon at 2 a.m.
Nice.
When epiphanies often come.
If people want to get hold of you, how do they do it? Do they email you? Phone?
Definitely jump on our website.
Okay.
And, part of what we're going to share is, we've done basically more than 10,000 consultations with small business owners, small to medium-sized business owners, and we've helped them grow their business, adding leverage. So we're talking about, like, what do you guys do? And basically we give people like a business roadmap, that thing that, that epiphany that I had, and like how to get leverage and what to do with it and how to set expectations. And, as a new entrepreneur, you're, worried that you have to do everything.
Yes, yeah.
And that is the kind of business I started and caused all that fun on my honeymoon, And so I think there's a better path is the point, right? And that's what we do is we help people design a better path for leverage in their business.
So you started MyOutDesk after the honeymoon. You said there's got to be a better way. I have an idea. You started with your brother, you say?
Yep, we were partners, both real estate guys. I'll give you guys a brief history. I mean, people always want to know, like, well, does this guy really know what he's doing, right? And the challenge around real estate is that it's there's a lot of competition. There's like 9,000 folks. I mean, you guys both know probably 10 realtors, right? Maybe more.
Maybe more, yeah.
Not many more, but yeah.
Yeah. So that was the challenge, and it was a super cutthroat, super fun business, always hunting the deal, right? But at some point, it's really challenging to build a large team, and it's even more challenging to go to Venice and enjoy a vacation. And so as I was doing that, we started adding staff. At one point, we had 6 or 7 agents working underneath the brokerage, and then I hired a bunch of folks from MyOutDesk personally because I had a need. I needed help in, doing the paperwork, doing marketing, sales calls, which is, as you guys know, those are the worst.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what our business does. We help businesses, do all the administrative stuff and level up what they're doing. But yeah, I ask questions.
So predominantly it's the administrative stuff you guys like taking care of. You take care for the...
Well, and sales and marketing.
Okay.
Think about, every small business needs, a Facebook page, social media, flyers, an email campaign, drip campaigns. Hopefully people, call us in at 866-576-1055, right?
Yes.
1055, I love that. But somebody's got to answer your phones. And if you're with a client, there's nobody, and you're an entrepreneur, there's really nobody to answer your phone. Right? So that's part of what we do.
It's fascinating, with Entrepreneur Month, but on the show we have a lot of different entrepreneurs. One thing that we hear more than anything is, and we talk about this all the time, is focusing on the business versus focusing in the business.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest struggles is that folks focus in the business on those kinds of things, and then they're not looking at the bigger picture, so it's prohibitive for growth.
Absolutely,
and, strategy.
Yep.
Well, yeah, you just hit it. In fact, part of this 7-figure business map is really understanding the 3 stages of business. So there's an I do it stage where, as the entrepreneur, like, you do it yourself, right? Like, I talk to the clients, I do my taxes, I meet with a CPA. Yeah, I do everything, right? And then at some point you grow and you're like, okay, I need to have some leverage, and it needs to become a we do it, right? So you start building a team. And the challenge there, talking about the on and in a business working on, is like you can't set the vision of like, I just want to be rich and I'm going to hire you to help me be rich.
Right.
Because nobody's interested.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to find...
Yeah, I'm going to help you get rich.
Yeah.
Myself,
And so at that point, when you make that shift from an I entrepreneur to a we entrepreneur, you actually have to create a vision for your company. You actually have to get a purpose-based business, right?
Yes.
And so that's the next step. And in the I, there's 2 stages, and in the we, there's 2 stages. And at some point, you transition into the they do it. which is something completely different.
And that's like the stages of grief. There's like denial. No, I'm the best. No one else can do it like I can. And then eventually you reach acceptance. It's like, okay, I can hire people. It's going to be all right.
Yeah, one of the sharks I was listening to, Robert Herjavec. I actually got to see him speak one time, and he's like, as an entrepreneur, you have to let things go.
Yep.
I spend way too much money on paper clips and pens and office supplies. And if it were me, we would have half.
Yeah. But at some point you have to let that stuff go because
exactly.
you've got things to do.
Well, and the idea that as an entrepreneur, you have to choose your battles, right? Yeah. And working on the business versus in the business.
Like being a parent. Are you a parent?
Yes.
Yes. So you choose your battles with your kids.
Oh, God.
Similar.
Are we really going to bring kids into this?
I'm just saying, choosing your battles. Yes.
Yeah. So, in the we do it stage, you have to create a vision and you have to create some purpose around what you're doing within the business. Because if you're telling employees, help me be rich, that's probably not going to inspire them, right?
No, that's what resonates.
Well, I think the folks that I work with and talk to and the clients that I help that I see grow and do the best with their team are not the ones that are in it for the money, but the ones that are in it for the cause, whatever the cause is.
Right.
Some passion for what they're
Absolutely.
doing.
And if it's real estate, if it's developing, a multi-purpose buildings or whatever it is, there's a passion around why they're doing what they're doing and the end product, whatever it is, and then the money comes. Those are the businesses that succeed. And they hire for, culture fit, personality, not for check the box skills.
Yeah. Well, actually, check the box skills are, I think it's important because the check the box is it's the first step, but the culture way outweighs the check the box because you can teach somebody to do something.
Yes.
Especially if you already have a system and a process. And that's part of when you move from the we to the they, is that then you have to create the structure for your business to kind of grow. And this is so nuanced, you guys. If you're listening right now and you're like, I want to shoot myself in the head, but there's an actual 6 stages to make that transition from a we, or from an I to a we to a they, and each stage has its own kind of independent challenges.
And so you work with business owners to get from stage to stage.
Yeah,
and those stages.
And in fact, what I love to do is help people remove barriers to their growth. I talked to a guy, great business guy, has passion. He's in the they do it stage, but he wasn't working on the business. He was working in the business a lot. And so sometimes you just have to ask questions really, what are you spending your time doing?
Yeah.
And if you were to hire somebody, what would you have to pay them to do that? A really good person, somebody who's comparable to you, right? And that kind of conversation and question asking is what we do when we go through these 6 different stages and help people grow.
There's a coaching aspect to it.
Yeah, we've got this really cool document. It's called the Breakthrough Design, where as a business owner, you ask those questions. This guy, he was spending 50% of his time on administrative stuff that, he just shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Right? There's a highest and best use concept in real estate, but in being an entrepreneur,
business in general.
Oh, absolutely, highest and best use. Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that their time is spent doing things that they should not be doing.
Well, and
it
goes back to that. I don't want to let it go because no one can do it as good as I can.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the mindset, but and what the Breakthrough Design really does, and how it helps people is to say, Katie has a really great practice where she helps people, find talent in the local, well, actually nationwide, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Almost worldwide now that she's
worldwide.
Whoa.
Well, but what's great is you could force rank every single task that you do throughout the week. And we teach people to just really keep track of what you're up to.
Yeah.
And then assign a dollar amount of value. And 9 times out of 10, the highest dollar value is prospecting or dollar productive activity,
Right. Yeah, sure.
Getting clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so that's kind of that.
That kind of dovetails into one of the things I do with my clients is when they say we need to add a new role. but we don't know what we need and we don't know what to call it. Okay, write me down a list of everything that you do right now that you shouldn't be doing, and then let's figure out if we can turn that into one person.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can kind of group all the tasks by a specialty.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's kind of what the breakthrough design does. I mean, it really kind of just, we ask good questions, we determine where they are on their path of growing their business, what they want to accomplish, what their outcomes are, and then we rock and roll with trying to help.
So how would a client go about getting in touch with you if they thought, hey, this sounds good, this is something that I need? Are you open to taking on new clients? Is there a process you go through to vet out whether it's a fit? Do they have to be a real estate entity? No,
and that's what's cool. I mean, we have, funny enough, we have an accountant as a client. We have a boat broker in Florida, a couple attorneys. Anybody really can take advantage of our service, which is really, I want to say it like, and you guys have to ask this because my father actually lost his job to outsourcing. In the 80s, in the late 80s,
right.
Which is, a bummer, right? All of a sudden the energy in the room goes down.
Yeah.
And now I own a company outsourcing.
Yeah.
So it's like this, it's kind of irony, right?
Yeah.
And I actually found a photo, and I wanted to bring it today, but I found a photo of him in a company shirt from like 1987 or 88 or some craziness. And so
before he got outsourced?
Yeah, before his job moved to Mexico. And so I think there's something subconscious about like the opportunity that small business people don't realize that they have.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to call into the show, I'll give the number one more time, 866-576-1055. And we get back from commercial, I want to talk a little bit more about barriers and maybe dive into some of the personal barriers that you've had, also called maybe failures, challenges.
Katie loves it.
I love the failures. I do.
And I think we should talk a little bit more about how people can get started working with you. So
yeah, you guys can just jump on our website. I mean, that's the best way to get a hold of us.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit before we kind of leading into this, and we talked a little bit on break. So the process that someone's going to come on board with MyOutDesk and say, look, I need you. I feel like I have this great business plan, or not plan. I have a great business that I'm doing, and I need to grow it, and I'm stuck. So kind of what's been the process, like kind of a timeline? I mean, what's the typical, what have you seen? Well, not typically, we're 10,000 people, but what is typical there, right?
Yeah.
But maybe give us an idea, our listeners an idea of what the process would look like.
Yeah, no. So step one, Katie said it before, is like trying to figure out like what you actually do and then try to group those tasks together. And really kind of just in your mind, try to think of the outcome that you're trying to get to. Like, what's the one thing I'd like to accomplish by bringing this body on? But the business roadmap that we've been talking about, the 6 different stages, the I, the we, the they, is really it's our value to your listeners and anybody really that calls us and tries to get a consultation. So you can go on our website and request a free consultation, and we'll walk you through where exactly you are. You just have to simply ask for it. Like, I want the 7-figure business roadmap. And we'll walk you through, determine where you are, talk about what you're currently challenged with, and then determine what it's going to take to get to the next stage. And it's it's really simple. Each stage has its own challenges. In the beginning, you're building sales skills, learning the business, learning the industry that you're in. The next stage, you're trying to define your model, like how am I going to charge people, what my profit margin is going to be. And each stage has like a new challenge. Generating leads, that's a big one for most people, is like, how do I get more business now that I've hired these 2 people?
Right, because now you're afraid, oh my goodness, I have to pay these people. Yeah. If I don't, then now they're out on the street.
That's right.
And that's a lot of pressure. It's terrifying.
It is.
And you're terrified. I see it in your eyes.
Every day.
Well,
no, but that is, I find that with companies as well, where I'm sitting down and saying, okay, as part of your growth plan, if you want to go from here to here, you need more than a part-time bookkeeper. Well, that's going to cost 3 times as much, and that's very scary. And
Yeah, so this is a concept that I find fascinating, and I help business people through this all the time. You're never really risking their annual salary, right? And so when clients come to you, they're like, oh, we can't pay $50,000. That's just way too expensive. Well, the reality is, if you're a good business person, and if you're smart with your money, you're really only risking their salary over the first 30 days, right? And so you can take that 50 or 75,000 or whatever you're spending for a person live here in the U.S. You can take that and dive it up into 2 to 4 weeks of pay, and just make sure you're really crystal clear on the outcome and the progress to that outcome, right? And so this is how we help a little bit more too. And if for one moment all you're doing really is incrementally risking. So I'm going to risk this 2 weeks paycheck, and I'm going to ask for this outcome from this particular person. And if in 2 weeks there's no progress, we're going to have a come to Jesus talk. And we're going to talk about, hey, I hired you for this one outcome, and it doesn't sound like you're getting closer to this one outcome. And so every 2 weeks, all you're really risking is their salary at a really reduced thing. And as an entrepreneur, one of the biggest things, we're just simply scared to act.
Well, I think there's also a scare of performance management. I see all the time, we hire someone and then they don't get evals, they don't have a 30, 60, 90, 360 plan, and then, or I get the call, we have someone in the seat who isn't performing and we need to confidentially replace them behind their back. I go, do they know? No, we don't want them to find out. So they don't know that they're not doing a good job, and we're not going to tell them. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great point. Anybody who is, as an entrepreneur, you have to be very clear with your expectation of the role, and that's the difference between somebody who really grows and who doesn't. In the last 5 years, our company has grown at 74%, and most people, that's crazy growth, right? It's been hard to keep up with it.
Yeah.
So we were talking about failures, right? One of our challenges is that we just haven't hired quick enough to keep up with our growth.
Right. You got a pipeline too. You gotta have a pipeline, so when that next deal hits, you have the number to call.
Gotta have a pipe. Yeah. No, it's a big deal too, because if you're not hunting talent or clients as an entrepreneur, you're really not interested in growing.
Right. Then you go into reactive scarcity mode, which the worst time to recruit is when you're desperate. The worst time to call for a client lead is when you feel like you're not going to be able to pay your bills. The best time to call is when you land a deal and you're kind of vibing on that win. Pick up the phone.
Yeah. So it sounds like that's really a good value add you brought to your clients. Is that kind of I want to say almost education, but that kind of awakening or awareness to them.
Well,
it's the importance of things like that.
It's a clarity on the part of the owner, right? And what we do within our consultation is we really drive outcome clarity for somebody.
Yeah, clarity is so important, because that's what a lot of times I think an entrepreneur, as you know, and as we all know, they get so busy.
Yeah,
like we said, working in the business, that they have a difficulty finding that clarity. Just taking a few minutes or an hour or whatever to actually even look at that, because they're so busy doing.
Well, and we're always sold. That's the other thing. And so when you guys, if you think about going to our website and just requesting a free consultation.
What is the website, by the way?
It's MyOutDesk.com. So MYOUT and then DESK.com. And it's really simple.
You spelled it out like the words are spelled differently.
Well,
is that desk with a K?
What's funny is we've had people misspell it. We've actually thought about buying the other ones, But if you jump on our website, what we're going to do is we're going to really break down what the need is, where you are in the growth stage, and define an outcome. Because remember, we're like a staffing company, and our folks are in the Philippines, and they're over there, and we have to be really crystal clear about what their outcome is too. We have around 1,500 folks that work for us right now in the Philippines, supporting small businesses and mid-sized businesses across the U.S. and Canada. And so, and they really need employees, people that work for you, they need clarity. They crave it. Like, they want wins, right? We all do. And so when you define the 1, 2, or 3 wins that they can have every day, every week, every quarter, every month, so that you continue to pay them a paycheck, that's a big deal. Yeah.
So small to mid-sized businesses is what you typically work with. How do you define that?
We define it typically by the number of employees. Okay. So if you have 2 employees now besides yourself, and they're real employees, meaning W-2 folks, and you've got revenues of, $250 to $500,000 annually. Those are kind of our starter clients, and we like to help those people get to the next stage, because they're in the we do it, and they're trying to break that $1 million in revenue. As you guys are CPAs, you know this. Like at $1 million in revenue, it's a different game. $1 million in profit, that's a different game. $5 million in profit, that's a completely different game. So our job is to help you have that next, stage, so to speak. You start driving $1 million in revenue, all of a sudden, you can afford a staff, you can afford a system, you can afford a proper CPA, like the two in the studio right now with me.
Hey, I'm a hiring professional with a CPA license.
Yes.
I'm not a proper. I'm highly improper.
Me to reduce your
Never
taxes.
call Katie proper. Noted.
I think a recurring theme that we see with all of the entrepreneurs that we have on the show is get the right people on your team, and even if they're not on your payroll, get the right accountant, get the right consultant, bring in somebody like Daniel's team that can help you go where you're going, because you just can't do it all yourself. And everybody that we've talked to, I think that's one of their biggest lessons is, I needed a CPA, I needed an expert to help me fill in.
And I think what they a lot of times what they really need as well as part of that is someone to help them identify what it is that they need, and that sounds like that's a big part of what you do, because again, they get so busy. I gotta do it all. No, okay, hire a controller. Okay, but I still gotta do all the rest of the stuff. Well, no, you can hire someone.
Well, that's exactly the point. Is what we're really going to do in our free consultation is push people through a business planning process. We'll help them develop an org chart. We'll help them understand where they actually are in the business, breaking down, their dollar productive activity. What are you doing that generates revenue? What are you doing that doesn't and you shouldn't be doing?
Yeah.
And, another one that I hate is what do you love? What do you love about this business? And reconnect with that passion.
What's your why? It's always a good question.
Yeah, what's your why? What's your purpose?
Yeah. Your process is the 7, what's it called again? 7?
So it's a 7-figure business roadmap.
Is that a hashtag?
Hashtag no.
Hashtag 7-figure.
We're not hashtagging it, no.
Man,
But it is a free consultation.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we'll figure out where you are in the growth stages. The I, the we, the they.
Right.
Then we're going to build an org chart. And then we're going to focus on a 30, 60, 90-day plan for launching a new person into your industry and into your business, and basically helping you grow. And if you're an entrepreneur and you want to grow, you have to call us. If you're not really interested in growing, if you're old and you want to plateau, those aren't our clients.
I want that.
But if you want to grow, call Daniel, call MyOutDesk.
Yeah.
So did you start with a 7-figure roadmap and
No.
a 6 process, or have you is that morphed over time?
It's definitely
ties
more.
into the failure, the learning, so.
Well, I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that some of it is developed through your own learning experiences too, as you go along and realize your own mistakes and then can share those with other businesses.
Yeah, we're talking about failures and mistakes. I mean, there was a time in my business career that I was $119,000 in credit card debt. And one of the biggest failures I probably made monetarily, I've got 3 or 4, but one of the biggest ones was just a development. I was building like a duplex on a corner lot. There was 2 stories, and the neighborhood wanted to fight, and I was so young and arrogant, and I was like, I'm going to win this battle because the law's on my side. And I did eventually, and then the market turned. So the lesson there was, and I think this is true for a lot of people that have early success. I was a business guy in my 20s, and that comes with a certain amount of arrogance and ego and all that kind of stuff. So, I think my biggest failure early on was just, I had a lot of ego stuff going on.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's different between men and women, or because I feel the opposite. My first startup, I was 25, I think.
Yeah.
And I felt the opposite. I felt like I was a kid in a blazer, trying to play make-believe.
Yeah.
And now I finally feel like, okay, I have a track record. I know what I'm talking about. I feel like I have confidence now, but it took me 10 years.
Yeah, see, I
feel
didn't
that way.
need any of that.
I just wonder if that is a male-female difference or not. I don't know.
Or it could just be a personal issue. It could be a Quincy thing.
Could be.
Blame it on Quincy.
If it's Quincy. That's probably Quincy.
My hometown.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, Quincy. I thought he was some guy that we
Some
all knew.
guy.
The TV show, Quincy, M.E.
Quincy Adams.
Quincy
Are we
hurt
talking
my
about it?
self-esteem.
I love it.
It's Quincy's fault.
And I think
Damn Quincy.
I've got another really good failure in the they do it space.
Yeah.
I haven't always been as visionary as I could have been. And
On your own business or with
on my own
Okay.
business, yeah. I mean, you fall into the trap of working in the business instead of on the business.
Right.
I mean, that's a trap that exists at every single stage,
Yeah.
regardless of what you're doing and regardless of how much success. I have a personality. I learn through doing, so I have to stop myself from doing a lot. I think one of the biggest challenges that I've ever had is just not being in the visionary space enough and leading really talented people to the win with them. And I've lost some, really great talent over the years because, of my own lack of visionary stuff. We're all learning through it.
Some of that I wonder is a guilt thing also, is you think, well, I have to be in the trenches with my employees just so that they know that I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to think that I'm just, sitting on my ivory tower,
Yeah,
and they're going to wonder, what does he do all
I
the
think
time?
that goes through people's head. I know.
Yeah, no.
It's definitely gone through mine.
Yeah, it's gone through mine.
And
Here's exactly in my head, right? And I've learned this. You have to give your people the job that they crave, right?
Mhm.
As an entrepreneur, you're constantly like taking tasks back or shifting them or changing their outcome or whatever. That just makes people really uncomfortable. And I've learned through that. I mean, people want to feel like they're valued. And as an entrepreneur and you're moving through the different stages, the biggest thing that you can do is empower someone to have full autonomy on their job and deliver the result they know they can.
Yeah.
And so that's a challenge. Develop a plan, stick to your plan, and deliver the outcome in 90 days. If you can get that right as an entrepreneur, you win.
Well, developing the plan is tricky sometimes, and then sticking to the plan can be challenging as well.
right, that's even harder than
Yeah.
coming up with it.
I think so.
It's like going to the grocery store with your list, and then the next thing you know, you're like,
Yeah.
oh.
Keep that list away.
Never go to the store. That's what I've learned.
That is a great life lesson.
And I think that's a good point in business too.
Unless you go to Costco, because that's the point of going to Costco.
They
is to
feed
eat.
you.
Well, I think that works in business too. I mean, like, never sit down and plan in a place of fear, you know?
Exactly. That's such a great advice right there. Yeah.
And I think if you can live in the visionary state and really remove yourself from the business and remove yourself from the people and the politics and say, what kind of future do I want for my business? And then clearly and vividly describe that future, I mean, then you're really in a place of power because, and when I say power, I mean power to impact the world,
Yes.
Right.
you know?
A lot of times that involves reducing your ego. Going back to what you talked
Oh
about
my
earlier.
God. Oh
And
my
that,
God.
yeah, and that's a challenge for
Yeah.
some people.
I mean, and I think if you can, you know, they're not as good as me, that's another big failure.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
I'm better. I mean, I'm better at this, or I can do this, you know, they need me. Once you can get rid of those.
Then you can go on vacation.
You can go to Florence.
Right. So we just have a couple more minutes left.
Okay.
Biggest takeaway, one piece of advice for our listeners. If you
Oh
could
my
wrap
God,
it all up
goodness.
and
Go
do
to
a nice little advice
MyOutDesk.com.
burrito.
You know what? I can tell you some things that I've learned along the way. You've met one of my mentors. I hired a coach really early on, and I paid them what I thought was an outrageous amount back then. And looking back now, I realize it wasn't enough, right? And so I think, you know, the biggest thing you can do as an entrepreneur is invest into yourself, because your business is going to grow at the same speed that you personally are growing.
Yes.
And, you know, right now, I literally counted it the other day, I'm doing 8 personal development things, like literally 8.
Wow.
And, it's thousands of dollars a month of just personal development. And I think, I now look at it and I think, God, if I was doing this 5 or 10 years ago when I first started, who would I be today?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It makes you a better parent, a better partner, a better friend,
Yep.
a better boss.
People actually can feel how much you care. And I think, that was missing in my early years as an entrepreneur is caring about people and understanding what their outcome is and really supporting them in their journey. I think, if you're listening right now, if you
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You're listening right now. I mean, ask yourself, do a little self-inventory. Like, what am I investing into myself? And I'm not talking about a spa date or like going to the movie. I'm talking about how are you growing your own personal world, and that would probably be my biggest, advice.
We're talking with Daniel Ramsey at MyOutDesk. You can go to MyOutDesk.com to get the info from on Daniel to get started with the process.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then next week we've got Pine Fardinesh with Silk Road Soda. If you've had Silk Road Soda before, great beverage, and Pine's been on the show a couple times, and so he's going to update us on where he is. He's an entrepreneur and also a visionary.
His cousin is one of my yoga instructors.
Is that right?
Believe it or not.
He's a yoga person as
Yes,
well.
it's a
Yoga
small
person. He does
world.
yoga as well. It is a small yoga world.
Yoga is great.
And if you want to get a hold of Katie and I, 916-784-7800, we can talk HR, we can talk recruiting and hiring, we can talk taxes, business, that type of stuff.
We can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
We can talk about entrepreneurs, we can talk about virtual
Italy,
assistants.
we can talk about wine.
Italy, wine. Well, I won't talk about wine. You talk about wine.
I can talk about wine all day long.
Sports, whatever. Golf.
I love it.
Still haven't done any of this year, and
You
this
gotta get
weather's not
out.
helping.
You gotta get out.
So,
Thanks for listening,
all
everyone.
right. See you next week on Money 105.5.